Okay, so welcome to another episode of Conversations with Kevin. My guest here is the lovely Carissa Reed, who I met last year in Arizona. We are both members of an alchemy tribe, and as you know, the Living Full Project is about sort of living fully, living by design and not default. And Carissa and I had an amazing chat. I managed to spend some time with her over lunch, and we were talking about how environment is really key to living a life or being who we really want to be on purpose. And sometimes we have to make some changes. And her story was very unique, and I'll let her share that with you in a second. But I think that this conversation will resonate with a lot of people, and it's not just about those kind of looking at people that are high flyers, or they seem to be doing everything is great. Sometimes our lives are like an ongoing mess in progress, where we need to, just keep moving forward, regardless of what's happening, and keep an eye on the vision and keep an eye on the things that we want. So, Carissa, welcome, and thank you for doing this.
Absolutely.
So, perhaps my first question would be, maybe you can give us a bit of background into sort of, where you were and, your whole story and where you, what you're up to now, I guess.
So I think when we kind of shared our stories when we were at the Alchemy Tribe, I was asked what held me back, where I came from, basically. And I think I just shared that I had my journey right now is coming out of a very brutal hard divorce, and trying to find myself, because I started out as a child always being told, you need to lose weight, and it was always about how I looked. I was not helped to feel good about myself. So and being kind of picked on and things like that, and then moving into a marriage to where I had a husband that was very controlling, that was watching everything I put in my mouth, and I never could stand up for myself, because when you come from a childhood like that, and then you move into kind of young adulthood, you don't really know any better. I never had my voice. I never stood up for myself. I never knew any better. And being in a background where it was, you were the submissive wife, and you just took care of your husband, and he was the king of the household. I mean, that was something that was told to me. I didn't know any better. It just grew to where just became something where I lost myself. And to ultimately, he just left and found someone else. And then I went through a very hard breakdown to where I was feeling, I'm just not good enough. I am just not good enough for anyone, and felt so down on myself. And then I was realizing I have 3 children, 2 girls and a boy. Well, they're older now, but I thought, I can't allow them to go through that cycle of what I went through. I can't allow them to feel that they are not worthy, that they are less than. They need to feel empowered and good about themselves. And I just started listening to people like you, and becoming inspired by individuals that have gone through adversity and how they can pick themselves up. They don't need somebody else to validate them. They have to feel it inside within themselves. And I think once I realized that, I don't need validation from others. I need it. I need it inside me. I need to feel good about myself. And I made that little switch, and I started talking to my children about becoming more empowered and feeling good about themselves. And I didn't want them to feel like they were less than. I never wanted them to feel like they were how I felt. So pretty much, so you can go.
It's funny, because that's what's really interesting about that, is that we isn't it interesting how we will, especially in our relationships, sometimes we can create our childhood history in our romantic relationships, or even friendships outside of the family, once we go through that. And if we're not careful and we don't make that, something will happen And it's interesting that, you said you went through the hard divorce. I think that's one of those things. Is almost like you probably got. I've been into similar situations where the breakdown or the amount of pain at the time that you feel is almost like it gets replaced at some point, and you realize that it's a gift at that point in time. And one of the things that I've always carried through from some of those harsh lessons now I bring to me at the forefront is like, okay, so what's the lesson here? What is the lesson, or what am I being taught in this moment of adversity, or the pain I feel, or the trigger I'm experiencing? When you can do that, it creates space for something else, for you to be able to, find a solution or create something out of it. Because what we normally tend to do is use our minds to try and recreate or to get us out of a situation. But our mind is only limited to the experiences that we already know. It has more of a kind of a computer that regurgitates information, where sometimes we need something, we call it a flash of inspiration or something else, but something will just pop into our subconscious when we've created that space first and foremost. And also, I'm going to ask you about this in a second, your brand, but from that, you've become it, once you've realized it's a blessing, it's a massive amount of growth that you can't help but be grateful for, right? So when
Yes.
you talk about, when you say she evolves and this is your brand now, and I remember you saying you don't even know what you're going to do with it at this point in time. You just want to reach out to other people, and other people are now connecting with you. Could you talk on a bit about sharing your brand, and how did she evolves come about?
Yes. Okay. You touched on something that I just wanted to say amen
Mm,
to.
mm,
When you go through something that is just so devastating and raw, and there was a point where I would even call out to God and be like, how could you do this to me? You know what I mean? And that's wrong. But in my mental state at the time, I was thinking, but I've done this and this and this, and I thought I was doing what I was supposed to do. And so there's the moment of confusion, and you think, oh, why have I been forsaken? Or it's just where the mind goes when you're at such a
mm,
low point. But then, and then you think you're never going to get out of it. But then when you do get out of it, when you I literally feel like I crawled out of a hole and then I can breathe again, because I learned so much about myself from being at such a low state. And then once I began to live and breathe and have gratitude, I was actually grateful for going through all of that, because I learned
mm,
so much about myself. And I wanted to kind of have a little format or a place for other women that could maybe relate, because it's so nice, isn't it, when you're going through something and there's somebody else that knows exactly what you're going through,
mm.
because it's almost like they can relate to you and you don't feel like this complete outsider. And it's just when two souls can kind of come together and be like, yes, I went through that, I know your pain. It's almost just like a little, like it helps a little bit in a way, because you don't
Sure.
feel like you're so alone. And when I was going through my divorce, it was almost like I was like kind of like the black sheep. I didn't have a lot of people to go to that could relate to me. Almost, once, after a year or so, I'd, go to family events, and I was like the only one not married, and it just felt like a complete outsider. So I wanted to kind of open up to where I can just put a little something out there for anybody who might have been in my situation and kind of felt like they were at odds or alone. And so I decided, I guess I was just going to go ahead and do Instagram baby steps. And lo and behold, I had so many women message me and just thank me just for the little a little a smile, or thank you for just putting out something that brightened my day, and thank you because I don't feel so alone now, and I have created really great friendships, and we keep each other going. they have said, thank you for helping me feel better. And I say to them, thank you for making me feel better. It's just, it's a beautiful thing when people can come together and
Yeah.
share.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And there's a couple of things that you touched on, but I'll start with this one first, is that, you know, when you, you never really learn much about yourself in the high times, do you? It always takes these types of, these breakdowns or these what we perceived crisis points. And I think one of the things that's so devastating to us, it's not the external or the stimulus per se, it's the, oh, well, who am I now then? Because our whole identity is now gone. And who the hell am I? I've done this, this, and this. I thought I needed to be this in order to be happy. And actually, that's not the case. And then you have to rebuild and reinvent yourself. And that's what you said, you know, that you've learned so much. And it's I suppose to a degree, it's inevitable that you do that if you're open to learning and not dwelling in that space, which some of us unfortunately can do, you know, for longer than we need to. And the other thing was that you come up was the environment, you know, where you've created this space for people to come and do that. And in a way, when you have that kind of that feedback back and forth, you're helping, but then you're also helping yourself. So it's cyclical, you know. You're just sharing that energy and then transmuting anything that is negative and transforming that into something, you know, you're taking that negative experience and turning it into something positive, not just for yourself but for other people as well. And that is that's the true alchemic process in my mind, you know. So that's fantastic. So what is it then? What are some of the key learnings that you had from your experience? And
well, I have to share with you something that you said that brought tears to my eyes. You said that we feel like we need to be a certain way. And when it just spontaneously combusts and you think, who am I now? I went through that because growing up, I thought you get married, you have a family, and, you know, that's your whole bubble, your circle. And that's all I wanted. I didn't have like these grand aspirations to be a doctor or this and that, you know, or I just wanted to raise my family. I had a difficult childhood. And so I wanted to make this beautiful family life. And so when that just disintegrated and blew up in front of me, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what my purpose on this earth was. And it just took me in such a depressing state. I had no idea what to do anymore. And so that's where I just felt like I need to empower myself. I can no longer think this way, that life needs to be this. There are so many other opportunities in the world that I can go after. And I can't just sit here and feel sorry for myself. And it's okay, because that saying, there can be a new normal. You know what I mean? And so life doesn't have to be just what you thought it would be. You know, there's so much more to life. And everybody's perfect life doesn't just fit into a single box. You know, everybody's idea of what a great life is so many different things. And so I had to just kind of change my way of thinking. I had to get out of the old way of thinking and think like a wonderful life doesn't necessarily have to be the typical one. You know, you can grow and do amazing things, not just like how we all thought it would be. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, massively. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because you have these ideals and they come, sometimes you have to stop and question where these ideals actually come from. And most of the time they're not even ours, they are societies, our parents or whatever. And there's someone you look at, you're keeping up with the Joneses or doing something else that you think that's what it looks like a cookie cutter approach almost, when actually, hang on, have I actually stopped and think about what it is that I want? Or does this actually work for me? Have I created this, or is this something that is an impression that I've been given, you know? Yeah, for sure.
Yes, yeah. So when you touched on that, that just really made me emotional, because all my life, trained to think a certain way, and
Mm.
so when you get to this point where it's no longer that, and you think, what do I do? It's okay. I think what helped me get through that is to say it's okay. It doesn't have to be what I thought it was going to be. Life can be so
Mm.
much. Life can be enjoyable in a different way, and it's
Sure.
okay. And
Yeah.
so I started to. I went head first into the restaurant business. You came.
Yes, I did. Yeah, loved it, enjoyed it. Yeah, I still rave about those. I still rave about your food now. Anybody that was like, I can bore to tears with my my food escapades. And yeah, I can't wait to get back over there. Yeah, and
Yeah.
yeah, go again. Mm.
And then I just started working hard and kind of just flipped everything on its head. The traditional role that I thought I was supposed to play.
Mm.
And once I just started kind of pushing myself, I just self-motivated myself. It's the new normal.
Mm.
So, and
Yeah, yeah.
believing in yourself, believing you can do it, and you will fail. There's, even like I told you, I crawled out of my hole, and I'm learning, and I am kind of just believing in myself. It's not always going to be perfect, though. That journey to get, to that better place, it's not going to be easy either, but that's okay because you grow. Just like another of my journey about self-love and believing in yourself and empowerment, I also wanted to get back into my fitness, and
Mm.
I did, and I was working hard, and then I failed and kind of just let some old wounds come back and old habits,
Mm.
and there's times when I feel anxious, I will like self-medicate, like by just eating things that aren't good for me, and I'll kind of
Mm.
slack off on my working out, but like that's okay too. So meaning, like, even though I'm on this journey of self-betterment and evolving, there's going to be also bumps in the road too. And I
Of
also want
course.
to share to others that that's okay too. Once you crawl out of your hole and you want to do better for yourself, know that it's okay if you trip up. It's really
Mm.
okay. You
Yeah,
still
yeah.
don't talk negatively. You have to get rid of the negative talk.
Sure, sure. And that's one thing you touched on, which is really interesting, is the fact that you are, because you can really beat yourself up when you're trying to change something, whether it be your health or whatever, just a mindset. You're
Mm-hmm.
going against, you're recreating this new thing for yourself, and you can expect then to, for want of another word, fall off the wagon or slip back into old patterns because you've lived those patterns for a long time. So to not expect that is
Yeah.
really kind of absurd, really, when you think about it. So it's with that in mind, then it's more about as you were talking, the word awareness came to mind, where it just kept coming into my subconscious. So it's about being aware of what it is that you're doing. Okay, I know I'm doing this. Oh, I'm in my bad habit. Whereas before, you wouldn't even know when you're in your habit. That's just what you do, and that's the difference. So once you have the awareness, then it's just a matter of time before you decide to make that change again. So
Mm-hmm.
by having the awareness, then that means that you have there's a focus there. So you know you're focused the right way, even if you know you're doing the wrong things, because there'll be a point in time where you think, actually, okay, enough's enough. Back to the new me, or back to the thing that I now want to get to. Let's carry on, and then you can and not beat yourself up. And I think that's the key thing, because even if you're trying to go, let's use diet for instance, or food. If you're being good, and then if you're being good but then still beating yourself, that's not an enjoyable process. You're not going to enjoy that process. Things are going to take time and take some discipline, but the process still needs to be one of learning and education, awareness and enjoyment. You still need to enjoy that. So every now and again, it's just cutting yourself some slack, and you'll get there when you get there. The other thing I wanted to touch on is that there is no real end as such. It's just another evolution of yourself,
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm.
Because when I was thinking like I was there, right, I made it, like I didn't feel bad about myself anymore, and I was doing good on my diet, but it doesn't, like, even after that, and then going through another tough event,
Mm.
I still continue to learn more about myself. You are always evolving. Your mind is always learning, and it can be beautiful. And you're right; it never ends,
Mm.
and you're just continually learning
Yeah,
things
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
being touched by other people. That part is my favorite. Meeting other people, such as yourself, and it's
Mm.
like my mind just opens up even more. Just kind
Mm.
of like when you have children, and say you have two, and you have your first child, and then you're about to have your second. How could I possibly love another
Yeah, yeah,
baby?
yeah.
Because I love this first one.
Mm.
And then something magical happens and your heart opens up and you're like, I didn't know my heart was capable of loving something even more. It is a beautiful thing. It's the same thing with your mind. When
Mm.
you think I just know so much about me, I'm so great, but no, it's a continuous cycle of learning and growing, and
Mm.
it can be a very beautiful thing once you no longer. I used to be, just because of my background and where I was just very kind of closed-minded, I think. And now I've, like the word you also said, awareness, I've
Mm.
just, it's opened up and expanded to life just what I thought it was.
Sure,
So,
sure. That's
mhm.
beautiful. So, what are the key learnings? What are some of the key, real sort of things? Oh my God, when you kind of look back, if you were to look back to now, where you come, one of your worst moments, into to where you are right now, what would you say some of the key learnings or the key transitions are for you that you could share?
Just letting go of what
Mm.
you thought how things should be. You have to. I had to learn to let go. I was holding on to things. I was holding on to pain. I was holding on to bitterness. I was holding on to. I don't want to say had like being poor, pitiful me, but I was just holding on to a lot of things, and I had to forgive also some people that I never received an apology from, but that's okay. And also you kind of let go of ego as well. That's a big
Mm.
one. And like embarrassment and humiliation, because it's hard when you are humiliated, but you have to let it go, and you have to just walk with your head held high. And so letting go would be number one. I had to let go of a lot of things, a lot of
Mm.
pain. And then, because you cannot grow and you cannot move forward if you're still holding on to the
Mm.
past also. The past, the hurt feelings. When you can let that go, then you can grow, then you can move forward. But
Mm.
that's not easy. I say it, but it's a process.
Sure.
Of so letting go, and then just like you said, awareness, and not being aware of your mind and where you're at, and also, and when you hit a bad spot, no, okay, I know what's happening to me. I know I'm upset. I will work through it and get out. And so don't let those feelings also weigh you down. You know what I mean? Then you can start
Yeah.
spiraling. So
Yeah.
if
Sure.
the mind is so powerful, it truly is. And allowing yourself to talk to others as well, and seek out people that have been in maybe in a similar situation. And it doesn't have to be the same exact situation. I've talked
Mm.
with so many people that their battle wasn't divorce, it was something else,
Mm.
but they got through a situation. So it's helpful to reach out to others and allow
Sure.
other stories to inspire you as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's so true as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Like you say, it is a process as well, isn't it? The letting go thing is and forgiveness, like you say, to forgive somebody and knowing full well that you're not going to get an apology. It's but once you're truly able to do that, it's kind of freeing, because you have and then and there's that moment when you just feel lighter, right? There's yeah,
Yeah.
there's almost like a clarity around that. Say, okay, and I get that now. I really do. I understand, and I feel freer because of it. So it's almost you're forgiving yourself in a way. because the pointing of the finger and the angst and all that, the things that have gone wrong have gone wrong, but it's the meaning that we're making of it that's causing us all that pain and suffering when it's now gone. It's already happened, so it's now gone. We don't need to keep reliving that thing over and over again. Yeah.
And have forgiveness for yourself, because none of us are perfect. I have my own role, my own downfalls, my own shortcomings, and you can't sit there and continually blame yourself. Well, what if I had done this? You can't do that. We are all human, so forgive yourself. It is freeing, and it feels like you said, a weight just completely lifted. So definitely forgive yourself.
Sure. Excellent. So as we're here today and talking, so what is the Carissa of today want, and what are her sort of future goals and aspirations, if there are any at all? What are?
Well, by the way, it's Carissa. My mom.
Carissa, sorry, Carissa.
I think my mom should have spelt it differently if that's how.
Yeah.
But I get that all the time. I
Yes.
So what fuels me is just being able to help others, because when I was in such dire straits and just feeling so low, I want to be able to reach out and help anyone in that situation. I want to be able to help, just give them a little bit something to look forward to, because at one point I just thought my life is over. I really thought there was nothing left for me, and that is just such a bad place to be in, and I don't want anybody to go through that. So my aspirations are just to continually to grow, to evolve. I want to just be more of an inspiration instead of a hindrance. And there's just so many, and I don't want to also just kind of remember, I used to think like just this little thing right here just fits right here. That's what I'm supposed to do. No, I want everybody to feel like the sky is the limit. Whatever they want, just go after it. Never give up, on your dreams. So, I mean,
nice.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Nice. Nice.
This is the first time I've ever done something like this, so forgive me. I am.
Oh my God, you're doing great, and this is the thing. People always get nervous about doing these types of things, but
I am. I'm like,
yeah, I know. But it's just about talking from. It's essentially all you're doing is talking from the heart. And if I'll send this to you and I'll play it back, and you'll realize how well you're doing. And more importantly, this is probably a good time for me to acknowledge you as well, and just see, because I can, you're so authentic in your communication, and you cannot help. As you were speaking a couple of times, I get excited for you, and I get hairs on the back of my neck stand up, because it's like this time, and I completely resonate. I've not been married, but I've been through breakups, of course, and also had my own challenges. So people resonate with these types of stories, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on. But it's also about, it's really important. And I think why we're in the same sort of groups with the alchemy, what Matt's doing with Alchemy Tribe, etc., is because it's not all sunshine and rainbows when we're looking to do things and we're working with other people. And we definitely don't all have it figured out. We're just normal human beings making the best of things. And this is how I'm doing things. This is how Carissa is doing something, how I'm doing something, it's really important to get as much information and be in the environment and in the space of these people doing the same things. And I think that's what bonds us and what unites us. So if I'm following you and I watch something that you post and then reshare it, and I see other people doing the same sort of thing, then I keep myself in that environment of development, empowerment, positivity, gratitude, all of those things. It makes it really easy, and it's really key to be in that kind of space, because our outside world normally is not like that. I don't know, as much as we will try to create the world we can, but what we're doing is being intentional and making a conscious effort to put ourselves around people, you know, like-minded people or people that are on the same sort of path, and it's okay, and equally sharing our hardships as much as our victories, if not more so, because that's where the learning is, that's where the value is, you know.
Absolutely. When you know, I had a time where I had dedicated so much time to my health and wellness and getting in shape, and I was posting about it. I wanted, you know, to reach out and tell people, like, you know, motivate them, because they were all motivating me. And then I ran into some really hard life events, and I just kind of putting me first, it was just not happening. Work has just went crazy. There was just a lot of things going on with family. I didn't get as much time to focus on health, you know, and working out. So I almost was like too afraid to put anything, you know, on Instagram, because I was like, no, I'm not doing good right now. I'm not working out as much as I should. I'm not eating as healthy as I should right now. And I was tempted to just stay away. And that was not right. So then I was like, no, I'm going through a hard time right now, but that's okay. I'm going to continue to put stuff out there. I'm going to continue to put myself out there, even though I'm not maybe the proudest of myself right now, because you know, sometimes we see posts on Instagram, and you see these people that are doing amazingly well, right? And they are just looking so good. And those things still inspire me too. But you don't see the times that they're not necessarily doing the greatest, you know? And if all you see is that, sometimes you start thinking, well, why am I not doing as well as they are? And then you start feeling down on yourself. So I just kind of wanted to put out there and just be as real as possible. I have, like we were saying, it is a process. It is a journey. I have some times that I'm doing really well for long stretches, and then I'll have some times that I'm not doing so well. But the point is we will get through those times. And so I decided, no, I'm not going to hide. I'm still going to put myself out there, regardless if it's a good day or a bad day, or a good week or a bad week, or a good month or a bad month, you know. And that's what I want to present. I want others to feel like, okay, this month hasn't been so hot for me. That's okay.
Yeah, of course. And I think, you know what, it's interesting because, especially Instagram in particular, because we need that hit of, it's almost like entertainment, and nothing wrong with those types of people that are there for influencers or whatever you want to call them. And everything, you look at their page and everything's so polished and carefully curated. And I think it was Matt that posted something, you know, you can't compare yourself to someone that's carefully curating a whole page. It's just, that's insane, because why would you do that? And, but that is saying, you know, the people that I'm more drawn to are those that are, actually, this is a bit shitty for me, or I've had this crap or going on, or this is going on, and, you know, I'm not feeling in that space at the moment. So, or they're just sharing what's on their mind. And those people, for me, have more integrity, and also more, you're likely to trust them more. So just naturally you'll gravitate towards them, because you think, okay, you're not at 100% all the time, and nobody is. So anybody that portrays that, you have to ask why, you know. And I get it. I think we can all be a bit scared of not being our best, you know, and whatever that is, you know, that's a misconception in and of itself. But that's great.
Yeah, and like you said about comparison is just the thief of joy. It really is.
Yeah,
you know, just, you gotta, you know, just stay true to
comparison is the thief of joy. That's a meme. That's a meme right there. I'm gonna have to write that down. Yeah, I'll quote you, don't worry. And I'll spell your name right. Yeah. Oh, that's great. I mean, that's amazing. Thank you so much. That's all we have time for. Unfortunately, I could talk to you all day, but hopefully I'll be out again. I'll be in Arizona again in October. I think Matt's doing another one, isn't he? So I think so. So hopefully I'll be out anyway. I hope so. Yeah, I think I've just put him in it. I dropped him in it now, but yeah. That should be good. But thank you so much for taking the time to come on with me, and I know people are going to get some great value from this conversation, you know, and I think it's really important to have more of these conversations. And I just wanted to touch lastly on that as well, about anybody who's watching this or listening to this and has that fear of, oh, I'm not really quite good enough. What do I know? It's not for me to put anything out. You know, I don't really want to be, you know, I want to be seen. Just do it. And I'm going to be a bit harsh now. So I remember having this coach, and I had the same thing about fear, about talking in the camera and putting stuff up, putting content up. And she said, well, who are you to hide behind yourself? You've got this knowledge, or you've got these thoughts, and you need to put those out. By you not doing that, you're just robbing somebody else of. You say you want to help somebody, but you're not. You just want to hide. You're trying to help yourself by playing safe. And I always tell that story. Because that really has resonated with me. And also I always remember that whenever I feel a bit insecure, or think, oh, that's not good enough, or any of those types of stupid nonsense that we tell ourselves all the time. And I just post it and let it go. And if it lands with somebody, great. If it doesn't, that's great too. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It's just about putting that stuff out and hope, and, you know, attracting the right people. And you never know who you're inspiring. And that's really key to just keep yourself going. Because like you're saying, when you get those little messages, thank you so much, or whatever, and then that makes it all worthwhile, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I do that too. I know I've sent you messages saying that.
Yeah.
You have no idea how you've changed my day. You know, it's incredible. So,
and this is it. And I think that's why that's not the reason. I say that's what we do it for. I mean, that's what, and I don't mean that from an ego sense, as far as, oh, I want to get praise. I do it, you know, it's you want to affect lives in a positive manner. Otherwise, what's the point in being here, really?
Right, and you're probably not even aware of just a simple little thing or a little story that you did. You probably do it with the intention to receive any kind of feedback. It's just what you were feeling in the moment.
Exactly.
So that it's very surprising what this small little thing that you've done, how it completely turned someone around. It's just, you probably don't even realize how many people that you're touching. But.
Yeah, that's right. That's it. That's great. Okay, so we're going to end it there then. So, Carissa, thank you so much again. I really appreciate your time. It's been great to speak to you as well. Great to see you.
Yes, good.
Sorry, Carissa. Sorry, I keep saying it. Yeah.
It's okay. You know what? I love.
Sorry, Carissa's mum. Sorry.
You can say it. I love your voice.
Thank you so much. So we're going to end it there then. And well, thank you so much, and we'll speak to you soon.